Yo, what is good with y'all? It's your boy Cat AG, and we are back with another video. Today, we're going to be talking about the possibility of a Nintendo Switch Mini, as well as a Nintendo Switch XL, actually coming to the market alongside of the current Nintendo Switch that we currently own already. Now, I do want to give y'all a fair warning. I have a bit of a cold today. That is what's going on here. I got like a stuffy nose or whatever. I don't get it. But it's gonna make me kind of sound kind of weird, and it's gonna be kind of annoying. But we're gonna get through this video regardless. Now, back in 2013, Iwata went ahead and he unified the hardware divisions. So he went ahead and he took the actual portable game people and he combined them with the people that make your home console games. So handheld gamers, or should I say handheld game creators, got combined with the home console game creators. Now granted, we have a couple games that are coming out this year for 3DS, but trust and believe, that whole thing is going away. 3DS is done. It's wrapped. If you still buying a 3DS, I don't know what's wrong with you, outside of the fact that they do have a huge, great, amazing catalog of games, but you really should probably be investing in a Switch. But maybe not yet. Because let's say you are a handheld gamer, right? And you're a person that likes the 3DS. You may not want to go out and get the, the regular Nintendo Switch, because the regular Nintendo Switch is kind of big. It's kind of bulky and may not quite suit you. Because you might be one of them people that are always on the go and are always traveling. So you may want to wait on a Nintendo Switch Mini. Maybe you don't play on your TV. That is a possibility. Not everybody plays their games on their TV. Some people just play their games in handheld mode all day long. A matter of fact, I would say that I probably play 95% of the time in the handheld mode and not home console mode. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to what we were talking about. So back in the day, Iwata came out and he said, yep, we're joining forces together. We got too many game shortages. And y'all have noticed that games have been picking up since they actually dissolved that and actually put them all in the same little team. Because if you think about it, generally they average about one game per month, majority of the time, for the Nintendo Switch. So here we are, it is now 2019, not 2018. 2017 was definitely really big, but we're here in 2019, and now we're getting a nice constant flow of games. Some of them are ports, some of them are new games, but we're still getting an abundance of games versus where we were getting maybe one or two a year, and that was about it. Now, back in 2014, Iwata came out and he said, eventually, if of course does not mean that we're gonna get rid of the architecture of the Wii U, which we already know that because we have the Switch, and it's not exactly the Wii U, but it is kind of similar. But he said when this happens, home consoles and handheld devices will no longer be completely different, and they will actually be like brothers in a family of systems. Now, we're gonna do another rewind because, all this stuff is important to where I'm leading up to. So if we rewind back before then, Iwata came out and he said that he would like for the actual game systems to be kind of similar to like the iOS system, the iDevices. You got your iPhones, you have your iPads, you have your iPad Pros, iPad Minis, right? They all come in different sizes. They all do somewhat different things, but they can all access and play the same apps and the same games. So any game or app that you can have on your iPhone, generally you can have that on your iPad, or if your iPad Mini, or your iPad Pro, just depending on which one you had. And he did state that he wanted his games, the future of Nintendo games, to act in a similar form factor. Or in other words, possibly even lead to the fact that maybe you would get a revision of a console every 2 or 3 years, right? And so when you're talking about extending the life of a actual platform like the Nintendo Switch, because I want to say they actually said that they want to extend it out about 10 years, which is a rather long time for a handheld or for any type of game console. So they said they want to make it reach out for about 10 years. Now, how do you do that? Well, you do it kind of like cell phones. People pay thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars for cell phones, and some of them change them out every year. Now, granted, we won't be changing out game systems every year, but they have been treating the handhelds like this for quite some time. So you had the DS, you had the DSi, you had the DS Lite, you had the 3DS, you had the 3DS XL, you had the 2DS, you had the 2DS XL, right? And then you had the new 2DS XL, and they're not counting the new 3DS and the new 3DS XL. So, all that being said, there's been a lot of revisions of the handhelds, and so you can kind of expect something similar to the Switch. Because number one, the 3DS is about to get faded out. So, because in order for the 3DS to still exist, it would have to be able to adopt the games that the Switch can currently play. And right now, the 3DS is not capable of doing that, and it doesn't quite fit the bill because it's got two screens. So we're gonna do away with the 3DS, but now we have an empty space in our mobile market. Right, in the handheld division. Now granted, the Switch kind of fits both bills as being a handheld and a home console, but it's still not technically a handheld. A matter of fact, they actually did a poll on this, and I believe it was on Twitter, or it might have even been in one of their little polls that they send out, and they asked, if you could change anything about the Nintendo Switch, what would it be? And a lot of people stated that they would like it to be a little bit smaller, a little bit more portable, because it's not exactly portable friendly, right? But people still enjoy the fact of the Switch being able to be on the go and play home console quality games. Then you can still dock it to your TV. But in general, 90% of my actual personal gameplay is probably in handheld mode, and I don't believe I'm the only one out there that only plays in primarily handheld mode. And so, what does that mean? That means in general, there's probably a large market of people that only play in handheld. Now, let's go ahead and fast forward to current day, and my throat is cracking because, like I said earlier, I'm a little bit sick. So fast forward to current day, now we have a game that is known for being a handheld game that is about to be released. And that game is Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing has been huge for the handheld market. It's been a #1 pusher, and on top of that, you have Pokemon. Also, another game that has been primarily focused on handheld games, because they've been on the 3DS, they've been on the Game Boy, they've been on the DS, and so on. And they've been big market pushers for them. So now if we fast forward now would be the actual opportune time to release a mini. Why do we release a mini now? Well, first of all, this Switch right here is kind of expensive. And there's a lot of people out there, younger kids, who actually would buy these systems, or their parents would buy them. But because this one right here is so expensive and it has movable parts, they may not buy them for their kids. So, here enters the Nintendo Switch Mini. Now, the reason why this is because #1, it could possibly be cheaper, so we could possibly be looking at like a $200 price point versus $300, which is a little bit more consumer friendly, especially when you're dealing with children having their own Switch. Now, granted, yes, you may go ahead and remove the home console aspect of playing it on the TV, but for a lot of people, that doesn't matter to them because they weren't going to play it on the TV really anyways. Like myself, I'm one of those people. I primarily play in handheld mode, or unless I'm going to stream it. But aside for that, that's where the Nintendo Switch Mini comes in. And because they're like brothers in a family of systems, that means that technically they would play the same games. So every time this normal Switch right here gets a game, that means the mini Switch gets a game. So they're all still playing the same games. They may even have the same architecture on the inside, the same Tegra on the inside, and it just be a smaller form factor. Because if you actually think about it, these Joy-Cons take up a lot of space, as well as this bezel that's going around this screen on this system, and it could technically be shrunken down. Maybe it can have a smaller screen, or maybe it could have the same screen but less bezel, and possibly even readjust the actual controls on this system. Now, does that mean that they can't technically play with their friends? No, it doesn't mean that. You could probably still link your Switch together just like you would any other Switch in handheld mode. Also, that doesn't also mean that it doesn't have an actual little kickstand on the back of it, because they could still possibly have a kickstand and you just have a Joy-Con that could still connect to it wirelessly. So that's not technically stopping it from being a Switch, right? You can still switch it technically, even though it's primarily a handheld. So now it's more of a handheld than a console. But then again, if you actually think about it, Nintendo, when they first revealed the system, they actually stated, like they really stated, that this is a console. It's a home console. It's not a handheld. They said that. And that maybe they marketed it that way because they knew the Switch Mini was coming, right? And that is the handheld. Now, all that being said, we're going back to the family of systems. And I know this is kind of a long video, but I'm trying to make a point here. Back to the family of systems, right? So they said it would be like brothers in a family of systems. So this is the middle brother, right? The Switch Mini would be the little brother. And of course, most of them have an older brother, and that would probably be your Switch Pro. Now, the Switch Pro more than likely probably isn't going to come out this year. I'm assuming it's probably going to come out next year, a little closer to when PS5 is announced, or when they release theirs, or the Xbox 2, which I don't know why they call it the Xbox 2, because why did they mess up the naming? I don't know. But when they get a little closer to being revealed, then we may get the Nintendo Switch Pro, which will be a more powerful version of the Switch, or the Switch Mini. And maybe this one may not even have any type of portable aspect. Maybe it's just completely home console. But I doubt it though. I believe it's gonna be more of a version like this, except a little more powerful and probably a different design. It may even be a little bit thicker, it just depends. But it doesn't necessarily have to be, because with the advance in technology, it could possibly be even thinner. But anyways, let me know what y'all think about this down there in the comment section. What do you think? Do you think I'm right? I know I'm right, but you know, you can let me know if you think I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so Switch Mini this year, Switch Pro next year, this Switch last year. I'll check out on another one. Peace.